Hello, Ms. Smith. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Go ahead and have a seat. So how is it going? How's the weather today?
Good. It's a lot cooler than normal.
Yes, it has been really warm lately. Yeah, the weather has been really warm. So I appreciate you coming in today to my office to meet with me. Before we get started on this interview, I just want to make sure that you could inform you about your informed consent, the confidentiality. What happens here is what we do is protect your rights as a client of ours, as you're meeting with me today. Just basically protecting our conversation that we have. Everything that you say to me will be confidential unless it's anything that will relate to harming yourself or someone else. As a mandated reporter, I would have to disclose that information, but otherwise, it's confidential. If you can go ahead and sign your name, print your name, sign it, and date it, I appreciate that. Thank you. And I wanted to let you know, as I interview with you today, I will be asking questions just to kind of get a more in-depth idea of what your needs are today. If you could go, I'm going to actually be writing down, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
I will actually be writing down a little bit of, taking notes during our interview.
Okay.
Also, we're going to, this form, I just wanted to mention to you really quickly, this form also that you're signing off on is just basically giving you, giving me permission to record you during this interview, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, and we had talked about that earlier.
Okay, right. You did do some things with the receptionist prior to coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what brings you here today?
Well, I came to talk a little bit about my son, Gary.
Okay.
He has been really acting out at home, having some violent behavior, throwing things, making holes in his bedroom. He's just been such a burden to me right now. Not him as my son, but just the issues that he's going through, and I feel like it's overwhelming me.
Yes, and that's the overwhelmingness is a natural feeling that anyone would have during that time. I would think hearing that type of experience, I think anyone would feel that type of way. What I wanted to know, how old is Gary?
He's 17.
He's
right
17
now.
years old? Okay, that's good. He's at an age now where he's like exploring the world and stuff like that now too. So during that time, that's a really critical time for a lot of parents.
Yes, and I have some other children that are in their teen years as well.
Oh, okay. You have other children in the home?
Yes, so I'm experiencing it all at once.
Okay. So is Gary currently in school? What's Gary's current situation?
Yes, he's in school.
Mhm.
He's not doing very well in school.
Okay.
He's hanging out with some friends that I think really aren't the best for him. I suspect that it's a gang.
Okay.
They are all tattoos all up their arms with bandanas, and the girls are the same way almost. They dress just like the guys almost.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they just look like troublemakers. So I'm not very happy about that, and I think that's affecting his school.
Okay. Okay. So would you say school is very important for you, but as well as it's important for Gary? Is it an important thing for him too?
Well, yes, it's very important to me. I want my kids to graduate and move on and go to college and pursue a career like I did. I'm an elementary school teacher.
Okay.
So I went to college and got my degree, and I want the same for them. So Gary was very good at school before. He was always attentive. He always got good grades. Then he just slowly started declining. And then after he got in an accident a couple of years ago, he just really went downhill from there. And started hanging out with these friends that I think are the cause of him doing so bad in school.
Can you, Ms. Smith, do you mind exploring a little bit more with me about the accident?
The accident, he was driving with some friends from school. They had actually been drinking, and
Okay.
they got in an accident. He got a head injury, and that caused him to have some delay as well. So he's in some special programs in school. He was also in sports, and
Okay.
he's not able to be in sports because of the head injury and the accident. So
Okay. So, so he was once in sports in school, actively in sports. You mentioned drinking. So, do you know much about that? How often does Gary drink that you know of?
I don't know how often he drinks. He got caught with alcohol already.
Okay.
So he's been in trouble with that already once before. He goes out late with his friends on the weekend, and sometimes like Thursdays, even though there's school on Friday, he'll be out late, and I don't know how to get a hold of him. So I'm suspecting he's drinking those during those outings with his friends, and I don't know what to do to stop him, or I just feel like it's out of my control. And
When it comes to Gary's drinking, how is his behavior when you see him come home under the influence?
when he comes home, I know he's home. The whole family knows he's home because he'll come home slamming the doors, and it just seems like he's just so upset to be home. And it's so disrespectful to me and my husband and our family, because it's 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes when he's coming home slamming doors. So it causes a lot of issues, wakes us up. My husband has gotten up at times to try to reprimand him, but it just gets worse, and he'll get physical and violent. And then if his siblings get up, he'll just start pushing them out of the way, and it just creates a big chaos in our home.
Okay.
So nobody is comfortable in addressing this issue with him anymore. We just don't know what to do.
Yeah, that's understandable. How have you and Mr. Smith been dealing with this emotionally, just for yourselves? How have you been taking care of yourselves in the midst of all these things that's been going on with Gary?
I don't know. I feel like it's even affecting our marriage to a certain point. We argue about it all the time. I try to tell him to not be so tough on him and try to understand him, and he tells me that I'm not tough enough. So it's actually caused a lot of conflict. We used to talk about it before and try to devise a plan for addressing all of our children's needs, because they're all different. So we would always try to talk about it together and say, as parents, as a team, how can we tackle this problem that our child is facing or going through, but it just has not been able to happen with Gary's behaviors escalating so much in our home.
Okay. Has Gary received any type of services in the past from any type of agencies or therapy? Have you received anything like that in the past?
He did see a mental health person.
Okay.
He was actually hospitalized inpatient for a few days as well. And actually,
So he was in an inpatient treatment center?
yes.
Okay.
There they diagnosed him with bipolar, and he was taking some medications.
Do you remember the type of medications he was taking?
I don't remember the exact name. I have it at home for him.
Okay. Let's see, primarily with bipolar, we have just specific medications that we prescribe. As lithium or something like that sounds familiar to you?
Yeah, it's something with an L.
Okay. Well, if we continue to go further with our services, that would be definitely some information that I will need to know regarding
I can get
Gary.
it for you.
Okay.
And while he was there as well, they were doing some individual therapy with him and group therapy, but it's just for a few days, so it didn't, it wasn't ongoing. But he had told them, from what they told me during a family meeting, is that he was describing a little bit about some issues with his, him being adopted.
Oh,
He
okay.
is my only adopted child. We thought we couldn't conceive at one point in time,
Mhm.
so we adopted Gary. And then shortly after, I did end up conceiving, and my other children are my biological children,
Mhm.
but he's only adopted one. But we still try to treat him like he's our own. We see him as our own. So it really hurts me to be going through all of this with him, because we want the best for him, and we want him to succeed as well.
I understand. And I think any parent would want the best for their children. How does Gary get along with his siblings?
Well, he's very destructive with them sometimes.
Really? Okay. Can you
When they
kind
were
of
young.
express more about that?
Well, when they were young, they had a good relationship. He would, go out and pretend to play sports with them. He would be the coach, and
Mhm.
they had a great relationship when they were little. But as they've been growing up in the teenage years, they've just been at it all the time
Okay.
whenever they're home. He seems to get along a little bit more with his sister, but which is the youngest one, but it's just not very good relationships. I know that sometimes between siblings, we fight. I have 3 sisters and a brother, so
Mhm.
we have fought and we've been through our things. So I know that maybe it might be normal, but sometimes when he starts getting violent with them or starts putting them down,
Mhm.
then that's where I try to draw the line with him.
Okay. I know that you mentioned when he gets violent. How often does he get violent with you or the siblings in the home?
Well, he's threatened me on one occasion to hit me, and he hasn't, but he'll hit the walls, make holes in his room,
Okay.
make holes in the house, throw things, break things. He'll push the other kids. Sometimes they try to fight back too, and then we have to get involved and separate them.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's why we've been trying to stay away from him and not address any problems, kind of give him his own space. Because it seems like, he's going through things that I don't know how to handle, which is why I'm here to see what I can do for him. Because we don't want those kind of situations to happen in our home. Our home was always
understand.
peaceful, and my parents' home was peaceful, my husband's parents' home was peaceful and quiet, and to have all these things going on at home is just not what we want for our family.
I understand. I understand. Do you and your husband have any type of support groups, support systems that rely on outside of your home, just for you and him?
Well, we are part of the Roman Catholic Church, so
Okay.
we go to that weekly, and whenever we have time, we try to participate in any activities they have, bake sales sometimes. I'll bake up some
Okay.
cupcakes and go donate them to the sale to raise funds for any events or anything like that. But I really just haven't had too much time to do that with all of this going on, and emotionally it's just been draining to me to be going through this with my children.
Does Gary ever participate in the activities at church? Do you ever attend those functions with you?
Not really. We invite our children, but we give them the option to want to come or not.
Okay.
So most of the time he doesn't want to.
So I just wanted to go back to this too. What do you hope to gain from this appointment today?
Well, I want to find out what we can do to help him. I feel at a loss with him, and I feel like my hands are tied. I don't know what else to do with him. Neither does my family or my husband, and we just wanted to reach out and see if there was services or something that can help him or help us help him.
Okay. With the services that Gary received in the past, did you feel that it helped him in any way?
I do. He cut back on drinking a lot.
Okay.
Since he was receiving those services, he was talking with the the mental health counselor, and that helped him. I think he's still a part of the gang, but he doesn't seem as involved as he was at one point in time. He still likes to hang out with them and talk with them.
Okay.
But it seems like there's still some kind of affiliation. He's been able to talk a little bit about a girlfriend he has at school, and that seems like a topic he always comes home talking about, how he talked about that with his counselor and, the mental health person that he's been seeing.
So, Ms. Smith, what type of resources do you have on your own as a family that I could possibly help add to? So I know you mentioned you have your church, you have your husband, the strong bond between you two. You have your church as an extended family. Do you have other family members?
Well, we live in the rural area, right?
Okay.
North of the city. So we come to the city often because a lot of the things are here, but we live out there and our roots are kind of out there. We've been there for many years. My family was there, my husband's family was there. But we do come to the city a lot.
Okay.
To see the casinos or, things like that, but no family members or anything out here.
Okay, so I just want to kind of reiterate some of the things that we discussed. I know you said Gary has adopted. Is he aware that he's been adopted, or that's something that's been private?
No, he's aware.
Okay.
And he knew several years back.
Okay.
He found out, so yeah, he knows.
Okay. And so he's also, you should mention, he's possibly affiliated with a gang?
Yes.
Okay. And then he was in an accident, so kind of prohibited him from school. So how is he doing in school? Is he, he's 17 years old, so he's a senior?
Yes, but his credit-wise, he's, I think, a junior or something like that. He's behind on his credits, so
okay.
I actually just received a letter saying that he may not graduate on time or graduate at all. So either they're gonna have to hold him back a year or something like that, but he doesn't want to do that. We've talked about it, and he gets mad, and he says he doesn't want to leave his friends. He wants to graduate with his class, so I'm trying to help him, but he's being kind of resistant to that, and I try to tell him, you need to go to school, you need to participate, you need to study, you need to take maybe some summer classes or something additional, but no, and he just doesn't want to, so.
Okay. Have you guys met with anyone at the school to go over his educational plan to see if he can graduate on time, or there's any other alternatives for him?
No.
Okay. And I know you mentioned, I know you mentioned he was diagnosed with bipolar, he's currently taking medication. So he's currently seeing someone right now for outpatient treatment, or right now you guys don't have any place?
Since he's been prescribed that medication, he's seemed to change a little bit and be a little bit more stable, but it's just been more recently that the behavior has just gotten worse and escalated, and
okay.
That's why I came to get help. So I don't know if he needs a different medication, or I don't know. I don't know if the medication is causing it. I don't know. I don't know too much about medications, so.
Okay. Positive, when you think about, I know I heard a lot of things about the negative things that Gary's doing. Can you tell me anything positive about Gary that he's accomplished or he's achieved on his own?
Well, he loves sports.
Okay.
He was in sports. He loves basketball,
okay.
A little bit of soccer, so he likes watching them. He used to play them, like I said. He's very active. He's very friendly with people, other than us, as his family, but he makes a lot of relationships, so there's a lot of times where he has big groups of friends.
Okay.
But then sometimes he can be kind of isolated too, but I think he has that potential to be able to build a relationship with people and be friendly.
Okay. Well, I have, I'm just trying to see. You think that we can potentially, I know it would be great to focus primarily on Gary at this point and just try to see if we can provide some resources for him, but how would you think about getting you on board, you and Mr. Smith on board, if we were able to provide some services for another type of therapy? Would you guys be on board with that?
What kind of therapy would it be?
It would be outpatient therapy. You would have to, Gary would meet with us maybe about 2 or 3 days a week.
Okay.
We'll meet with Gary, just individually.
Okay.
And then could possibly bring you in slowly, bring you and your husband in, and then the kids later on, and become more of a group family support phase, as we would like to do. So that way everybody can get on board. But primarily, I would really like to get some services in place for Gary at this time. It seems like he really, really needs it.
I think that would be good. I mean, he always talks about the importance of family, but
Okay.
you know, I don't know if it's the adoption feelings he's had that kind of feels like he's left out. But if we can restore our relationships, I know he would probably like that. And
Okay. Because Gary seemed like he's a pretty resilient kid. You know, I think he's probably a really good kid. He's just going through those little
He is.
phases as a teenager.
he is.
And, you know, right now in his community, you know, you're dealing with, in social aspect, you're dealing with peers and organizations, institutions at school, sports. That was one thing he was interested in, and he lost that, you know. So we could try to find some ways here at SAFI to be able to provide everything that you would need, and I'm hoping we'll be able to be impactful for you and your family. But our encouragement is our main goal here and our mission is to work with families collectively
Okay.
and work together and make sure you have all the supportive resources you need in place, okay, to continue on once you leave here.
Okay.
So I have some referrals that I will submit right up for you. It will be Desert Rose Adult Education School for him.
Okay.
They provide services for youth who may not be able to graduate from high school on time. They'll be able to provide some services after for him to obtain his diploma.
Oh, wonderful.
And potentially get into some career vocational trainings,
Okay.
courses like welding,
Oh, he loves welding.
culinary arts, carpentry, things like that they
Okay.
offer, okay?
Great.
So I'll give you their number. I'll actually we'll give you a referral, okay? You can
Okay.
just take it over there. I'll let them know that you will be coming. Also, we have a program, it's called FATE. It's an adoption supportive group. Children who are currently in past children who were in foster care who can have it's a support group. They help each other, it's open communication, where they can be able to support with each other, being that they had the same experience as being adopted or in foster care.
Okay.
Okay, that's another program that I could refer you to. And then I also need to know, what is your availability to be able to come back and meet with me? To schedule a time for Gary to come in individually on his own.
Well, I'm available after school hours, like
Okay.
after 3 or 4 maybe. I don't know if that's too late.
Oh, no, that's perfectly fine. I can get you scheduled for that time.
Okay.
And then Gary will be able to be with you. Okay,
Okay.
because it'll be all about Gary at that point, okay?
Okay, yeah, I can bring them.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and close this up, and it was a pleasure meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
And I'm hoping that this would be really great for you and your family, and you guys can learn a lot about this and get something out of this really great. But I know one thing, the resources that I'm going to provide you are excellent, excellent people. I've worked with them in the past. And I've referred a lot of families over to these agencies, and we
Okay.
work very well, and they believe in the same thing that we believe here at SAFI. And our hours, we have very flexible hours here.
Okay.
And we have a 24-hour hotline crisis here in case of anything that happened outside of our work hours from Monday through Friday, 8 to 5.
Okay.
A
That's
lot of
great.
these agencies actually are extended. I know with the FATE program, they are every third Tuesday in the month during after-school hours. And so those youth, they meet on every Tuesday. So that's another great thing. And so did you have any other questions for me today, Ms. Smith?
No, that's all. I mean, if I could just get the information for those, so we
Sure.
can get started and just start building some support for him, because I feel like we're not able to do that for him. And maybe some
Okay.
outside opinions for him might help.
Okay.
So
Well,
it
I
sounds
appreciate
good.
you coming by to
Thank
my
you so
office. It was
much.
a pleasure meeting you.
Nice
Let
to
me
meet
go
you
ahead and
too.
walk you out.
Okay.
Thank you so very much. Have a wonderful day, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.